How do two teenagers just beginning their lives make a choice so horrifying that it ends in the brutal deaths of two innocent people, that too, their own loved ones? In 2017, 17-year-old Cassandra Bjorg and her 19-year-old boyfriend, Johnny Ryder, crossed a line that led to a nightmare no one could have imagined. This wasn't just a sudden outburst of teenage rebellion. It was a calculated, twisted plan that culminated in the murder of Cassandra's grandparents, followed by the disturbing decision to stay in the house with their decomposing bodies for days. What led to this horrific act? Was it an impulsive decision, or was it part of a deeply twisted plan to escape control? Join us as we unravel the events that turned a normal home into a scene of unimaginable horror. Cassandra Bjorg was 17 years old when she became entangled in a horrifying act of violence that would shock her family and community. Raised by her grandparents, Wendy and Randall Bjorg, Cassandra's home life had not been without its challenges. Wendy and Randall, both 63 years old, had stepped in to care for Cassandra after she faced difficulties at home, likely hoping to give her a stable environment. However, instead of finding peace, Cassandra's relationship with her grandparents deteriorated over time. Her troubles weren't new. Cassandra had a history of rebellion and defiance, and had frequently run away from home in her teenage years. She resented the restrictions placed on her by her grandparents, who were reportedly strict in their efforts to guide her. Tensions escalated to the point where Cassandra even physically assaulted her grandmother in one prior incident. This outburst was one of many signs of Cassandra's growing anger towards the authority figures in her life, specifically her grandparents. Each altercation added fuel to her resentment, deepening the divide between them. On the other hand, Johnny Ryder, Cassandra's 19-year-old boyfriend, shared a similar troubled background. His family dynamics were equally strained, with incidents of violence in his past, including an attack on his own sister. Together, Cassandra and Johnny became a volatile pair. Their relationship, initially an escape from their respective family pressures, quickly spiraled out of control. Both teenagers felt stifled by their families, but they specifically viewed Cassandra's grandparents as the primary obstacle to their relationship. The Bjorgs' strict rules and oversight made them the targets of the teenagers' growing rage. As the couple bonded over their shared feelings of being trapped, they began to conceive of a deadly plan. What makes this case especially chilling is the level of planning involved. This wasn't a crime of sudden rage. It was premeditated. According to the investigators, the couple discussed their grievances with the Bjorgs for weeks, eventually deciding that killing them was the only way they could be free from what they viewed as oppressive control. They fantasized about a life without interference and felt that the only way to achieve it was to murder the two people who had provided Cassandra with shelter, but also tried to keep her in line. On April 1, 2017, the horrific plan was set to motion. The couple armed themselves with a hammer, a baseball bat, and a knife, entering the Bjorgs' Lawrenceville, Georgia home with the clear intention to kill. The attack began with Johnny Ryder, who brutally struck Wendy Bjorg with the hammer. As the assault unfolded, Cassandra reportedly felt a surge of energy, feeding off the violence rather than retreating from it. She joined in, dragging her grandmother into another room and helping to restrain her, showing no hesitation. The assault on Wendy was brutal, but their cruelty didn't stop there. After ensuring Wendy was subdued, the couple moved to attack Randall. They used the same vicious methods, beating him with blunt objects and finally, in a final act of brutality, slitting both of their throats to make sure there was no chance of survival. Court documents revealed chilling details about the methodical nature of the crime. Both teens showed a disturbing level of detachment during the attack. Cassandra's confession included the fact that she helped clean up the scene after the murders, even sealing the doors and windows with caulk to contain the smell of the decomposing bodies. This attention to detail highlighted the premeditation of the act. The attack itself had been swift and savage, but the aftermath revealed just how deeply the teenagers had thought through their crime. They didn't panic. Instead, they calmly stayed in the house for days. The days following the murders were equally disturbing. Rather than fleeing or attempting to cover their tracks, Cassandra and Johnny stayed in the Bjorgs' home with the bodies. During this time, they invited friends over to the house and threw a small party, seemingly unaffected by the presence of their grandparents' corpses. Friends who attended later said they had no idea the bodies were inside, as the couple had gone to great lengths to seal off the rooms. They used caulk to seal the doors and windows in an attempt to prevent the smell of the decomposing bodies from escaping the home. The calm and calculated behavior displayed during these few days added another layer of horror to the case. This violent culmination of the couple's feelings of anger and rebellion revealed a twisted logic. In their minds, removing the grandparents meant removing all the obstacles to their relationship and freedom, but instead of finding liberation, they only sunk deeper into a nightmarish situation they could no longer control. The shocking part is that it wasn't just the murder of her grandparents that was on the couple's mind. Authorities later revealed that Cassandra and Johnny had planned to expand their killing spree. After murdering Wendy and Randall, their next targets were Johnny's family members and eventually Cassandra's own mother and stepfather. Thankfully, these plans were never carried out as their spree came to an end before they could continue. The couple's disturbing plan began to unravel when the police received a report about an assault involving Johnny Ryder's sister. During the attack, Ryder had beaten his sister with a baseball bat and pepper sprayed her. Police were called to the scene and through their investigation, discovered the connection between the assault and the Bjorgs' home. When authorities arrived at the Bjorg residence, they forced entry and made the grisly discovery of the elderly couple's bodies, which had been decomposing for nearly a week. The investigation revealed the disturbing details of the murders, and both Cassandra and Johnny were immediately arrested. At the time of their arrest, the couple had attempted suicide by slitting their wrists and necks, but survived. This suicide attempt occurred when they realized law enforcement was closing in on them. Cassandra Bjork confessed to the murders without showing any visible emotion. Despite the horrific nature of the crime, she remained detached during interrogations and in court appearances. Johnny Ryder, on the other hand, broke down in tears during the proceedings and expressed remorse for his actions. The couple was charged with murder, aggravated assault, and other related charges. The evidence against them was overwhelming, with Cassandra's confession, the physical evidence from the crime scene, and their behavior following the murders all pointing to their guilt. The case against Cassandra and Johnny was devastating. In court, prosecutors described the killings as cold-blooded and premeditated, pointing out that the couple had not only planned the murders, but had also taken steps to try to cover up their crime and had even thought about extending their killing spree to other family members. Family members of the victims, still reeling from the loss, expressed relief when both teenagers entered guilty pleas in 2018, sparing them the agony of a lengthy trial. Both Cassandra Bjork and Johnny Ryder were sentenced to life in prison. Because of the nature of their crimes, they're ineligible for parole for at least 60 years, meaning they will both spend the majority if not the entirety of their lives behind bars. By the time they're eligible for parole, they will be in their late 70s. This case remains one of the most chilling in recent memory, not only because of the brutality of the murders, but also because of the complete lack of remorse shown by Cassandra Bjork. While Johnny Ryder has expressed regret, many are left wondering what led these two teenagers to commit such a heinous crime. Was it purely the result of their troubled backgrounds, or was it something else entirely? Whatever the reason, this case serves as a dark reminder of how deeply things can go wrong when anger, rebellion, and the desire for control take a deadly turn. Although justice was served, the loss felt by the Bjork family and the community will never truly fade. This is a case that haunts, not only because of what was done, but also because of who did it. Two teenagers whose lives were just beginning, but who made a choice that ended the lives of two innocent people and forever altered their own futures. What do you think about this shocking yet tragic case? How can someone do this to their own grandparents? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on this episode. If you found this story compelling, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our next in-depth investigations on Real Crime Zone. See you in our next video.